Good morning, everybody. I'm out here in the bird yard, and I wanted to give a little update on our little friends, our little gosling friends. So they have been out here now. I put them out, and they've spent 3 nights out with the birds, and they're doing fabulous. Oh, here they come. So let's take a look at them. They're so cute. Hey, little ones. You coming over to say hi? How we doing? So they're doing really well. They get along with everybody totally fine. Hi. Come here. Super curious. They're so sweet. Hi. Little cuties. So they're loving life. Finally out of my house. All I have left inside now are the 11 little bantams. And I have some schemes, some plans to get them out of the house too. But I have to build some stuff first. Luckily, they're so small, they're really not as big a deal. But having these big stinkers in the house was getting a little much. All right. So that is an update on my little goslings. And if you see, I got some chicken ladies here hanging out with me as well. And some little runner ducks hiding in the shade of a raspberry bush. Don't mind the mucky water also, because I cleaned that water about a half an hour ago. And that's what happens when you have ducks. I promise you, I give them clean water about 3 or 4 times a day. But they turn it to muck in 5 minutes. Oh, and this little guy is coming up behind me. So we're gonna get out of here.
It was a shame mowing all those daisies down.
There's thousands of them.
Alright, so that worked pretty well. I was afraid to get too close to the edge.
Woohoo! What? All right, here we are. Finally getting some mowing done. I can get to my laundry line without being covered in ticks. This is amazing. All right, start that baby up. All right. Woo. Here goes the first ride of this thing into the pastures. Don't hit my plants. So, I'm out here next to the barn, in the pasture next to the barn, and we, as you know, have purchased a tractor. We have the tractor, and we finally have the brush hog mower up and running. The first one they sent us had an issue, and they very kindly, quickly sent us a brand new one about a week later. And in the last few days, we have gotten that up and running, and we did our first round of brush hogging on this side of the pasture. So I'm going to turn this camera around, and you can see there's the barn, and all of this area was grass and weeds about 3 feet high. We left a little patch here with the wildflowers for the butterflies and things. Now, I love the overgrown pasture. I love the wildflowers that grow here, and I think it's beautiful. But the issue we're running into is the trees are growing up into the pasture, and if we continue to let that happen, we won't have a pasture anymore. So before we bought this property, I think the last time it was cleared was at least 2 years ago, and in that time, a lot of saplings, a lot of little cherries and apples and wild roses and all sorts of trees, sumac, are coming up. And if we continue to let them do this, this will just turn back into forest. And we have a lot of forest on this property. I do feel bad mowing down wildflowers and things, but it's something that has to be done. So I'm gonna take you down and show you what we've done so far. You can hear that rooster crowing. So this end isn't so bad. It's a lot of really small, like I missed this little one here. Little cherry. We'll come back and get you. But you can see the line right here where I ran out of steam. Honestly, I was mowing for a couple hours. So we're gonna come back and do this side. But this part isn't too bad. The trees are pretty small. But as we get further back down the pasture, if you look back behind me there, you can see some of these trees are pretty tall. So we're gonna get down here and I'll show you what I'm talking about. And if you look along the tree line, so we've cleaned it all up along this line, all the way down to the back. And there's a cemetery over there, very peaceful neighbors. And down here, so, you know, a few days ago, this whole pasture was trees. All of these little wild cherries, mock cherries, good for the birds, but we don't need 5,000 of them. Now I do want to encourage wildlife and insects and butterflies and all of the wonderful things, but we can't maintain a pasture if it's full of trees. I do like the tree line that goes down the middle though. We'll keep that nice and dense for the birds. Shade. So we have this patch here of sumac, which I love. They're beautiful. And they turn such a beautiful shade of red in the fall. And I'll keep some of them, but I don't need a whole field of sumac. So if you look back up and all around, so we got about a little more than half of this side cleared. Now the plan is to eventually we're gonna get some sheep. I would really like a small flock of sheep that we can rotate through this system of pastures and keep it maintained by grazing. You know, maybe a couple goats, maybe eventually some cows. We'll see. We do have a good acreage of fields. So we're coming down here, and I didn't finish this end, and for now I don't mind. We can leave it a little wild. And this here is the cut through into the unmowed side. I'm going to show you what we're dealing with over here. So this hedgerow down the middle with the apple trees and the sumac and all these pretty trees, this is going to stay, and I'm going to thin out a few things here and there and plant. Oh, look, sumacs are budding up. I do like the sumac. So this side I haven't mowed at all, and this whole section at the bottom is all trees. Really overgrown with lots of trees. Serviceberry and wild cherry, and I mean all these pretty wild roses everywhere, which is a shame to mow, but I think they'll come back. But this whole patch, you know, we let this go another year or two, this is just going to be a patch of forest. So our next step after we finish the other side is to come over with the brush hog and clean up this side. Now I think I'm going to leave the grass up, excuse me, up by the house. I'm going to let that keep growing for the summer because the wildflowers really are beautiful. And I don't need that part cleared yet because there's really no trees growing up there for the most part. So I can let the wildflowers and wild grasses grow. I just want to get these saplings out before they get too big to brush hog. So we also have really overgrown fields back in the woods. And I know Darren did a walk through here recently and showed everybody, but I'm going to turn this around and see. I mean, we've got the goldenrod, which I love. I don't want to mow it. I was sad yesterday mowing down some goldenrod, but this is the road. Now eventually we're going to get the land plane, and we're going to level out this road again. So all this is going to go. But for now, it's okay. So we come through this. It's lovely in here. Cool. And I'm not being killed by bugs yet. After we finish those fields, we come through to this little section, which years ago was another pasture. Now this one's gone longer without being cleared, and it's really starting to fill in. So this whole side to the right was a big field, and to the left. So the left is now got some real big trees. So we're probably just going to leave that. But this side, I would like to reclaim and cut this down. Oh, a butterfly. So many butterflies up here. So some of these trees are quite large. So I don't know if we're going to have an issue with clearing them. But I mean, some of them, if you can see behind me, I mean, some of these are like 8 feet tall. So we're going to clear what we can. Can you see me under there? Ah! So the plan is to get this pasture after we do the other ones. We'll come down here and clear out a lot of this side. And eventually, I mean, this could be another field where we could put some livestock. My plan is to rotate livestock through the fields, which helps with parasite control. You know, sheep and goats and things are very susceptible to parasites and worms. You want to keep them moving so they're not on the same piece of land all the time, reinfecting them. Oh, excuse me, reinfecting themselves. But you can also see, oh, I think I inhaled the bug. All right, you can see the road. The ruts on each side are pretty deep here. So when we get the land plane up and running, we're going to try to level out this road again so it can be drivable. It goes about a half a mile back into the forest. Now back that way is a whole nother pasture, which I know Darren has, like I said, has taken you guys on a trip through there. So there's another field back there, and then beyond that is another one. So eventually we'll get to brush hogging all these open spaces so they don't just revert back into trees. And one plan, I would love the possibility of putting something on this stretch. I really think this is a nice spot, maybe to set up a little camping site for visitors, maybe a yurt or a tiny home or some sort of structure out here, because it's very peaceful. It's very quiet. You're in the middle of nature, but you're also right off the road and you're not too far from the house. So you're not out in the middle of nowhere, but you feel like you are. So that is the plan with the brush hog. And then once we do the brush hogging, we'll get the land plane out and try getting the roads back in shape. So we'll keep you posted on our progress with this plan. All right, I'm walking back from that pasture, and I came across another little wild apple tree. Look at all these apples. This one is completely buried in the woods here. I have not come in and cleared it out at all. So there's its trunk. So I gotta get in here and clear out some of these trees that are shading out this apple, but it's, as you can see, it's doing pretty good, even in the shade. All these little treasures I find every time I come for a walk. I love it here. So I'm out here in front of the barn, and this morning when I woke up, I checked. We have security cameras on the barn. We have security cameras all over the farm, basically to keep an eye on the animals, make sure everybody's safe. And last night we captured right here in front, walking around, was an enormous porcupine. I'll show that. I'll post that security cam footage. But it was wandering around out here. It's the first time we've had one that we've seen close to the house. I don't wish any harm upon any wildlife, but I have 3 dogs, and a porcupine close to the house is a little unsettling. Luckily, they're generally only out at dusk, dawn, or in the night when the dogs aren't out here. But it is definitely something to be cautious of when you live where there are porcupines, because my idiot dogs would definitely tackle a porcupine. They do not know any better. But pretty cool to see nonetheless. Another pit stop on the way back to the house. I thought I would show you how my little squashes and pumpkins are doing. I planted some right here along the side of the road. Not the ideal conditions. I don't have good soil yet for these things, but I will show them to you. There's one there. This one's not doing so bad. And like I've said before, I don't know exactly what these all are. I just started a bunch of seeds and they all got mixed up. So I've got different pumpkins, winter squashes, and some gourds. And so I put them here. I've put some mulch around them. And what I've been doing is watering them with the duck water. So I pour the dirty duck water into a pitcher, and then I've been watering them with that because this soil, it's not the most rich and nutritious. And they were a little bit yellow, but since I've been doing that, they've really greened up and they're really starting to grow. So I've lost a few to the hare, I think ate one. I haven't seen the hare since it was here for a few days. It disappeared. But some slugs too have bothered some of them, and snails. We've got a lot of slugs and snails. But yeah, they're doing pretty good. And over here I have, I think this one is a gourd. And this one I just put out here, and you can see the others all looked like this, kind of yellow. And a few days of some good duck water, and they green right up. So I'll keep you posted on how those are growing. And I have planted some other vegetables in pots. I'll show you those too. Oh, and all my little trees. Whee! They're getting so big. I gotta start planting more of these out. And all these elderberries I have to plant. I just don't know exactly where. All right, a little update on some of the things I have growing. My cannas, look how big they are. They were just a little sprout last time I showed them to you. There's one there. But look, they're really growing in. My cosmos. And here are some summer squash. Now I put these in some grow bags. These sweet potatoes are in a grow bag. We'll see how they do. My flowers, snapdragons and all these things are flowering. It is still a mess out here. I have to organize it all. I put a couple of, I got some beefsteak tomatoes at the store, and I popped them in a grow bag too. So we'll see how they do. I wanted some good slicing tomatoes, not just these little tiny, these are the tiny currant tomatoes. They're already flowering. I've got, oh, my calendulas are starting to get a bud. Nasturtiums are getting really big. And I have, over here, my little zinnias I grew from seed. These are getting buds. And we have some bachelor buttons. I love this shade of blue. It doesn't even look real. The gazanias are all open. So things are going. It's just unorganized right now. Oh, and my hazelnut trees, some of the little seeds that had sprouted that I buried and planted are emerging. So now I have 6 that are emerged and 1 more to go. And the persimmons, I got another one. So I think I have 9 now. 9, I have 9 persimmons. And one of my pawpaws, which are not, they're down next to the garage, but one of them is just starting to sprout. So I'm excited about that. We've got some green beans coming up. Oh, we've got some cilantro, which I see is sprouting. And a whole bunch of basil that's just starting to come up. Some more beans that I just planted, so they haven't come up yet. So things are growing. I can't wait to have a real garden. Oh, the flies are coming after me now. But yeah, we're making some progress on the garden front. And my plan for maybe today or tomorrow is to move all these pots back, weed whack all around, and then organize them in a more aesthetic situation. So that's a plan. that's a plan. All right,
What we are doing right now with our computer screen,
our magical machine.
we're going to show you the current state of things, satellite view of what the fields look like, and then we're going to show you aerial shot. It's one of the earliest aerial shots I could find. Well, not the earliest, because I could find back to the 50s, but this is 1969, and it is the clearest as well. So, and it seems to show the most, shows the fields in their best state too, like the most clear that they were over that period of time anyway.
Yeah, so we'll show you an overlay of current day, basically, to the old shot, and just kind of go over what I had talked about earlier of the state of what all the pastures are in and what our plan is to rectify that problem.
Yep. So, 1 second. Okay, so here we are at the satellite image of the farm, and this is our property here. So what I've done is I've drawn a line. Now this is about half of our property. It continues on like this for another about a half a mile or so past this pasture here. But what we have done, or what I've done, is drawn, pulled an overlay of an aerial from 1969. So that here is a picture of what the property used to look like. And as you can see, there are a number of pastures that are much more open, especially back down this way. If you can't see my cursor, this is what we call the third meadow, or the perfect pine meadow. This is the second meadow area. This is the unnamed meadow. And then this is the first two meadows on either side of the tree line. So what I've also done is drawn around each of those different fields so that you can see currently how overgrown some of them are. So Matt's here with me. Do you have any ideas? Because what we're doing is coming up with plans for what to do with each of these fields. So these first two fields here are going to be pastures for animals.
We'll have the garden up here.
Yeah, it's going to be in this area.
And this would be, we want to just keep them open, so we've got to get all the trees out. Now this picture is from a couple years ago. It has grown over significantly since this was taken. So all this area here,
like this area too.
if I can show the cursor, this area is all trees now. All here was all overgrown with trees. This little pasture is all overgrown with trees, more than it shows in this picture. So the plan is to, which I already have done, is we've cleared out about half of this pasture here. So we're going to finish this side, go over here, and I'm going to just do the end where all the trees are growing here. And then we're going to go down the road to this one and clear this out. And get it back to, just get all the trees out and then not worry about it for a while and let the grass grow back. And as we work on the road with the tractor and the land plane, we're going to clear out the road. We'll get back here, and then eventually we'll mow this pasture, and we'll try to get it back more what it was like. The far pasture is really overgrown now, and I don't think, if you, Darren, click it back to the old. So we're not going to get it. Yeah. I don't have a plan right now to get this back pasture.
We don't have a need for it.
Fully developed.
And I like the trees. There's a lot of
really beautiful. They look like Christmas trees. They're really pretty.
Yeah, the pines. Most of the pines are in this clearing area.
But I do think we'll mow what's mowable, just to keep it from fully foresting up again.
Yeah, and we do have a dream of putting, like, maybe in this meadow here, either a yurt or a tiny home or a campsite or something here. And then this meadow seems to be the perfect place for a little tiny log cabin. So I just have this idea.
way back there, we're in the middle of nowhere.
Just completely off the grid, just a little like fireplace, wood stove, a little tiny cabin. Seems like it would be very quaint back there.
And we'll also be using animals to help. Once we clear the trees, we can then put the pigs in spaces. I want to get some sheep. I had mentioned that earlier. Maybe some cattle eventually.
And you can see that there were fences. Well, actually, we have seen that there are fences. Here, there's a fence that continues from basically here to here across the stream. And then there's another fence that's here from a gate. I may as well not block everything. From a gate that's here, and I've seen the fence that goes around this way.
Which are totally useless fences.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
all collapsed and rusty. But eventually, we'll get some fencing. I'm not worried about the far back. I think fencing in this front 2 pastures is the first
That's what I'd like.
big goal.
And I want the dogs to have a nice big run. And they're big dogs, so they can run. So I want a big area here at least that they can be safe in.
So those are our, for this season, our short-term goal is to just get all the saplings out and get it back to pasture land.
Yeah. So that's the plan for now for this.
All right, well, thanks for watching another episode of Life on Pumpkin Ridge. Don't forget, if you liked this video, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. It really will help us grow our channel.
Or leave a comment.
And leave a comment. We love comments. So please, if you have something to say, be kind, but leave a comment. And upcoming, we will show you a little clip. We're going to be doing some indoor projects. We have a lot of renovations to still do on the house. So if you're interested in some of that, we're still going to be showing you the animals and gardens and all that fun stuff. But we do have some renovation things to share. And
Yeah. So thank you for watching. And we hope to see you next week.
Definitely be back next Sunday.
Bye. I'm here in the dining room, and this is one of the rooms that we hope to have livable sooner rather than later. There is one room upstairs that's completely unfinished and needs drywall, so we're going to hopefully get to that before fall comes. But this room, as you can see, needs some work on the windows, a little bit of work on the ceiling, maybe a new fixture, maybe. And actually, it's in the mail. It should be here next week. So the other thing it needs is to have the floors refinished. So this week I have been working on scraping these floors, and one of the things that we got it for the windows at the recommendation of our window guy. We have our windows being restored by Overstory Restorations in Eastport. They did a great job on several of the windows. They're working on more of them. But we are going to be reinstalling those windows once we get these frames finished. So the frames and the floors, when they're finished, then it's just a matter of getting the woodwork squared away, paint the ceiling, and get this fixture done. Then this room will be habitable. So then we can take the plastic down off of the doors and get some furniture in here and start living in a slightly bigger home. But I thought I would show you the floors as they are, and these are one of the panes. This is one of the panes that we have back. So one thing we've learned about these windows is that they are not original to the house. That these particular windows are factory made, and although they have these slots for the weights, these windows never had them because this pin was never removed, apparently. But it was an option for the windows to be installed that way. And although they are not original windows, you can see that the glass, it might be hard to see with the camera, but most of these glass panes are wavy, not the ones that you see on these windows here. So it seems like they were made with recycled older glass, which I think is pretty cool. So these panes have been completely redone, reglazed. When they were broken, they had new glass put in, although I think it was also used, recycled glass was used. And then these floors, this was one of the worst floors in the house. The floor itself is in good condition, but it had carpet underlayment basically glued to the woodwork, to the wood. So it's been very difficult to get that up. Though we got this vacuum, this Festool vacuum, at the recommendation of Micah from Overstory, and we connected it to the sander. First we connected it to a scraper, this scraper over here. That was the best tool that we used to get the gunk, the sticky gunk off of the floor. So now that that's up, I'm sanding, and then I'm going to sand a few more times with higher and higher grits and get this room habitable. So that's the plan for this room, and then we'll move on. We'll do the floors in the next two rooms because those are a little easier to do, and get the drywall upstairs, get this house holding some heat, get the windows back, and just go into winter in better shape than we were in last winter.